In this video, I'll demonstrate one way to use climbing rope to create a litter to help evacuate a patient. There are a couple different ways to do this that are out there. This one seems to be the easiest as far as speed and simplicity. It's going to be using pretty standard climbing rope. This is 60 meters of 10 millimeter cord, 10 millimeter rope. Some ropes out there are a little longer, a little thinner, but this tends to be the standard out there for recreational climbing. For the improvised rope litter, as you can see, I've started to lay out my rope in nice long loops, and they need to be larger or wider than the patient by a few inches on each side so that you can grab them. So what we have down here at the start of it, this should probably be, or should be more specifically, at the patient's feet. This is a figure 8 on a bite, and then from there you'll just start to make your long looping coils. And once you have that laid out, you will lie your patient down on top of this if they're already in some sort of wrap, such as a burrito wrap. Actually, even before you do that, you're going to want to lie down some structure to it, if possible. So you can take some trekking poles and just lie them down as long as they'll go to add a little bit of structure to the whole system. And then the patient would lie on the stretcher, or the patient would lie on these trekking poles. They're not going to feel it because they'll be on their sleeping pad. So we've put our patient, our friend Leonardo the monster, onto the trekking poles that are on top of the loops of coil. And now we're going to start to pull those loops into each other. So you're going to see me reach across, grab that figure 8 on a bite, give it a little bit of a tug, and then with the opposing loop that I have here, you're going to push that loop through. And you're going to snug it up as much as you can. So now I have this loop, and this loop is going to get put inside. And if you have too much loop, by the way, this is a pretty big loop, you can pull the loose end, make it a little bit more snug. And I'm going to take this opposing loop and pull it through that end. And in doing so, because these are all interconnected, it's going to start to snug up even more. So again, I have this loop, and I'm going to reach here, and I'm going to actually bring this loop a little bit closer to the middle, put my new loop through, snug it all in. I've got this loop over here. So you get the point that you're just going across the entire system and cinching these opposing loops into each other. So I've worked my way up towards the head of the patient by making the loops and making them nice and snug. As you get towards the head, you're going to have a couple options. If they have good support underneath their neck, either from the trekking poles or from the rigidity that's being created by the system, you can sort of make a big loop that avoids the entire head. So my hand here is quite high above, and then you get your other loop down over here and continue the system. But more realistically, you'll probably get to about the neck or the head, and then you'll have this leftover loop here. And the best way to tie it off is to come back over to the loop or the strand that it came from. And you can simply tie a nice overhand knot to cinch it down. And you might want to back that up with a second overhand knot. And all those knots are links in some of the other videos on the course. So now I've got this all set up. You can't see it, but I have a large amount of rope that is left over. And that's going to be a problem unless I take it all. And the patient is actually going to help me carry it. So I'm going to move him up And I'm actually just going to tuck the rope into his system, and then with usually at least 4 people, so 2 on each side, you can now lift the ropes and carry the patient, and with those trekking poles, it'll give it a rigidity along with the patient's body. And this is what the back of the rope litter would look like. You see the crisscrossing encompassing the trekking poles to give it increased rigidity as you carry it.